Hey boos, it's Kenyatta Gabriella and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope everybody is doing great and amazing. But today's video that I'm about to present to you guys is a little different than my beauty, like my hair and makeup videos. This is a story time, and this story time is about my haunted house in Louisiana. All my friends and family know about this story, and everyone wanted me to do a story time on this, and so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. Disclaimer, this is my experience. If you don't believe in this type of stuff, that is perfectly fine. I don't want to try to, throw my views on anyone, but this again is just the experience that my family and I had, and it's 100% true. Some of the stuff that I'm gonna tell y'all, it get a little crazy, but it is 100% true. This all happened, and this video will be two parts because it is gonna be a little long, so I am gonna break it in two, just to save you all some time. So if you are interested in listening to this video, I will say go ahead and grab your snacks and drink first, honey. Get you a pillow and a blanket, get cozy, and we're gonna get into the video. Just a little bit about me. I grew up a military brat. My dad was in the military my whole life, 25-26 years. We lived in other countries, we lived in other states, and outside of being 5 years old and having a paranormal experience that was very minute, still scared me, I never really experienced anything else until leading up to this point when I was in 7th grade and we lived in Louisiana. So I just want to put that disclaimer. I wasn't a kid, who saw spirits all the time or anything. No. I will say I'm very sensitive to energies. I pick up on energies. But I can't say that I've ever just really been that kid to just be like, I'm seeing stuff. Like I said, this story takes place when I was in 7th grade, and just a little bit more background because I want y'all to get the visual. Before we moved into the actual haunted house, we lived in an apartment, and the apartment was really nice. It didn't have any bad vibes, any bad energy. I really liked this apartment. I actually wish we would have stayed in the apartment than the townhome that we moved in, because the apartment was lit. It was very clean. It looked like maybe they had done some renovations to it because, it was more up to date than other, like some of my friends, their apartments did not look like that on the base. But all in all, I really enjoyed living in the apartment. We stayed there for a few months, and then we ended up moving into a townhouse. And I want to say the first day that we moved in, I immediately picked up on just a darkness. I've never ever described any of our homes that we lived in to my parents as feeling uncomfortable, feeling dark, but I do recall going straight to my parents like, I don't like this house. It's creepy. It was very old. Yes, this townhouse that we moved in was creepy. It lacked like natural light. It was just so dark, just physically and just spiritually. I just did not feel welcome in that home. And just to give you a layout of what the house looked like on the inside where all the activity was going on. So if you walked straight into the house, to the left was the staircase. You go up the staircase, and directly at the top to the left was my bedroom. So if you walked up the steps, I could see you and you could see me. Already, I ain't like it. Did not like it. It made me uncomfortable. Like, no. If you turned right, it was a small little hallway, my brother's room, and then my parents' room. And I want to say right away, I noticed, because I'm like an insomniac. I am up late, super late. Not so much now, but back then I would stay up all night. And what I noticed every night at midnight, I would hear footsteps coming up the stairs. And at first I thought, okay, I'm tripping, but it got more and more pronounced. I went to my parents and I was just like, did y'all go up and down the steps last night, or did anybody go downstairs? They were like, no. So I told them, I said, I heard somebody coming up the steps last night. And mind you, this isn't just something, oh, I heard someone coming up the steps. If I did hear it, I should be seeing somebody come up and be at the top of the stairs. However, I never saw anybody ever either going up or down the steps ever. So my parents, specifically my dad, who was in denial, he would always hit me with the, oh, it's just the house settling. We're not gonna play them games. What do you mean the house is settling? The house been here for almost 100 years plus. Ain't no house settling. This house been here. It's settled. My mom would even try to intervene and be like, okay, well, you know, it's a townhouse, so you're connected to other homes. Maybe their staircase is directly on the other side and you hear them going up and down the steps, because they also had kids too. Hers was a little bit, you know, more believable than my dad's. So I kind of tried to brush that off, even though deep down inside I knew, that ain't it. So the footsteps, that's number one, the footsteps going up and down the stairs. And I want to say, as time progressed, it progressed from like somebody walking up the steps to somebody running up the steps. And again, I never saw anybody at the top of the stairs ever. So the next thing is, so my brother at this time, he was about 3 years old. Again, I'm in 7th grade, he's 3 years old. And we would be home, you know, obviously during the summers and stuff like that, whenever we're off from school. Especially if our parents were working, it would be he and I at home by ourselves. And so I'll be babysitting him. And one day I was in my room. I think I was like playing a game or something. And he comes in my room and he goes, Kiki, there's a lady in my room. Excuse me? A lady.
Boy, if you don't get...
And I tried to brush him off because around this time, either like not too long before we had moved here, The Ring had came out, and I remember having my little brother right there with me when I was watching it. And of course we all remember the end when Zamora comes out the TV, and whenever he would, you know, act up or he do something bad, I would say, you know, that lady gonna come out the TV and get you, you know, great big sister stuff. And ever since then, I mean, it worked because it would get him right when it needed to. But now he talking about he's seeing the lady. Child, no. So when he told me, I just looked at him like, well, what you want me to do about it? But again, me being the bigger sister, I walked in his room and I don't see anything. He's looking at me like, you don't see her? And I'm looking at him like, see who, my boy? Because I don't see anybody there. I walk back out. Like, I'm not gonna entertain this because I don't know what you're seeing, but clearly it ain't meant for me to see. So I'm gonna see myself out. Went back in my room. He didn't seem too afraid, so I didn't really press the subject, just went on about my business. That was incident number 2. So as time progressed, we're gonna speed forward. Mind you, we're in the house, it's still feeling dark and heavy energy. I don't like it, I want to leave. But I started to notice, I was starting to see like figures out the corner of my eyes. Like, I never saw anything directly, like straight on. Want to put that out there, but it's like I would see a person out my peripheral, and I didn't like that because I know what I saw. Never showed itself to me straight on, but I would see little things out the corner of my eye. Maybe somebody walked by, maybe somebody standing there like far off when I know there is not a figure supposed to be there. Did not like that. And again, I would try to be like, maybe it's an eyelash. Everything that I could possibly think of, I was trying to write it off in any type of way. Like, it's not there, it's not happening, don't give it attention, because I always felt like if you gave it attention, it would just progress more and more. Another thing I wanted to note is, as things are progressing, we're noticing that it's progressing when my dad would either be away, like at war training, you know, out in the field and stuff like that. Whenever a male presence was not, like a dominant male presence was not in the home, we noticed a lot of activity. And then it progressed to lights going off and flickering, TVs coming on by themselves. So it was just progressively going on. Like, yeah, things would happen when my dad was home, but when he wasn't, it was just like, I'm here. So the next thing that goes on, I'm still telling my parents, you know, there's some craziness going on and it's ungodly. They still saying, okay, it's a new environment, you got to get used to it. That's all it is. It's just pretty much your mind. So one thing that this thing in the house liked to do was, if you were laying in the bed, it liked to pull the sheets. It liked to pull your feet. To this day, this is why I can't sleep with my feet out of the covers, because I'm just traumatized from what happened in that home. One day in particular, I was in my room, I was laying down, and I felt like a slight tug. I thought I was dreaming, and that was enough for me. Got my blanket, went downstairs with my mama and my brother, because I'm not gonna not staying in the room. And right around this time, we had got our first fur baby, my baby Cody, my world. And he was 6 weeks when we got him, a little toy poodle. And he was supposed to originally sleep in the laundry room, but I was not going for that. Not in this haunted house. It will not sit here and get my child. So he slept in my bed, 6 weeks old. One night, he was in the bed with me. We were falling asleep, and I hear the footsteps running up the steps. And I'm looking like, okay, any moment now I'm gonna see something. Well, Cody jumps down, and I want to say he was maybe like 8 weeks now, 8-9 weeks, still didn't really even have a bark. And I'm sitting here like, okay, he sees something because he starts growling at the hallway that is dark. So he is growling at the hallway, and I'm just like, he's seeing what I'm seeing. I can't see it, but he can see it. I can feel it because I know it's in the hallway. It's probably looking at me, but I can't see it, but he can't. And he is growling. And he's on the bed, mind you. He hadn't jumped down, but then he jumped down. And I'm like, So I'm like going to go get him. And he humps up like a cat and lets out a growl because he couldn't even bark yet. And he ran back to me. Child, that was all I need. I just started screaming. My daddy came and got me out the room. And I just said, I'm not sleeping in my room anymore. I'll sleep on the floor on a pallet till we move out of here, but I'm not sleeping in this room. It is not going down that way. And I think then my dad started to know, okay, she's not joking. Something is really going on in this house. So they bought me like this little cot, like cushion to go on the side of their bed away from their door. So I couldn't even see the doorway or the hallway. Like I was in my own little cubby off to the far end of their bedroom. Safe. That was my safe space because I was not sleeping in my room anymore. I refused. And so whenever my dad was away, like if he was at training, then my mom wanted me and my brother to sleep in the bed with her, and like in the dog also. So we all slept in the bed together while my dad was away. When my dad was home, we was all in the same room, but my dad and my brother slept in the bed with the dog, and then I slept in my little cot off to the side because I just absolutely refused. So next thing that happens is I was talking to my mom, and it just happened to come up about the house because I think she started to feel uncomfortable, and she confided in me and just kind of was like, I know stuff is going on in this house. You don't gotta tell me. I've been felt it. I just didn't want to show any type of fear to scare you guys because you are the kids, I'm the adult, and if I show fear, then how am I going to have you all feel protected? And I'm like, girl, you ain't have to lie to me. Like, God knew something was going on. Just be honest, because this here that we doing, it's not helping none of us. We know something is in this house, and us lying to each other is not going to help the situation. So she pretty much had told me from jump when we moved in, because she's also very sensitive to energies. She told me, something is dark in this house, and it clearly does not want us here. And she also was saying that she was experiencing like seeing little things out the corner of her eye. Yeah. So she pretty much told me, okay, I believe you. The dog continues to bark and see stuff around the house. That never stopped. And they say that kids and animals tend to see things more than, like an adult or, like a teenager, because that innocence is still there. They're more prone to go towards it than to run away from it, especially if it shows itself in an endearing way. It's not going to scare a kid like it would scare us. So by this point, my mom starts telling me she's looking for another house. She doesn't know where, but she was like, look, we about to peace out. So I'm going to start looking. Just, I think she wanted to move back to the East Coast. So she was just kind of like house shopping around. Like, I don't think it was really anything serious at this point, but she was starting to put, some motion to her plan to leave. Me and my brother, we're upstairs. My mom is downstairs. I think my dad was in the den. I can't remember, but my brother had this toy, and if I can find it on Google, I'm going to insert what it looks like. But basically, think of like when toddlers, it's this little scooter-like thing, and it has a tall handle that the parents can actually push. And it may be like a little car or like a little truck. The kids sit on it. They can scoot with their legs, or the parents can push them like down the sidewalk or something like that. It's not really going to roll on carpet, but keep in mind, we got carpet in the whole house. Keep that in your mind. Well, my brother had one of these little toys, and he never rode on it. it was a Bob the Builder truck. He loved Bob the Builder, and if you took the seat off of it, it had all the little Bob the Builder tools, like a little hammer, a wrench, and all that. So you would just hear the boy knocking on the walls and stuff like that in his own world. Never rode on it, but he did know the rule of, if you get on it, do not take it near the steps. He's like 3 or 4 at this time. I'm in my room. Mind you, I can see the hallway and leading to the staircase. And I don't know what I was doing, but I just remember seeing my brother ride by on the little scooter and go flying down the steps. Yes, he went flying down the steps. And once I heard him scream, I realized, like, he just went flying down the steps. We jump up, we run to him, my mom runs to him, my dad runs to him, and my mom's like crying because it was a humongous window at the bottom of the staircase that he could have went flying out of, and he rolled all the way to the bottom. Him and the truck went all the way to the bottom. And when, I think it was just, it scared him more than anything because he was okay, but my mom was just like, what? After she saw he was okay, why would you do that? You know not to go to the end of the steps, and you know not to take this to the steps. And he looks at her and he's like, I didn't. That thing pushed me. Now, at the time, we may have very well have thought that he was lying. Now, we done experienced enough stuff in this house to know he ain't lying. Something probably did push him. But let's just look at it at this point. Even if we didn't believe him, this is what made me know that he wasn't lying. The following week, I went flying down the steps. Something pushed me, and I felt I was the only one upstairs, with a realistic human hand, pushed me down the steps to the point I ripped the whole rail out the wall. Maintenance had to come in, fix the wall, everything, replace the railing. Pushed me, and I went flying down. So I bruised my tailbone. I was bumped and bruised all the way up. It wasn't like I lost my balance going down. I hadn't even started going down the steps yet. I went forward, and trying to break my fall, I just went tumbling down and just grabbed what I could, which was the rail, and took it out because something pushed me. And that's when my mom was like, we got to go. We gotta go. Also around this time, we started hearing that my dad's unit was possibly going to be deployed back to Iraq. So my mom said, ain't no way, boy, that we finna stay in this house and he ain't home. So I'm gonna stop there with part 1. I know a lot of this sounds crazy. You're probably like, I rebuke all of this energy from this video, and I don't blame you. But this is part 1. Make sure you check out part 2. If you like this video and you think it is crazy, go ahead and like this video. Comment if you ever experienced anything paranormal. Subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, and I'm gonna see you in part 2 because it's about to get real. Y'all stay safe out there.